I am delighted to introduce to you Asha Haji Elmi, who is accompanied by her husband. She is a peace activist in Somalia who won the Right Livelihood Award, which is the alternative Nobel Peace Prize, in 2008 with 3 other activists from India, USA, and Germany. Now, I understand that Asha has just won the Clinton Prize, which is really quite an amazing honor as well for her. Now, when Asha realized that women were excluded from the peace process in Somalia, Somalia has 5 traditional clans, she formed the 6th clan, a pan-women's group, and won a place in the peace negotiations. And I must tell you, Asha, that when all of the rest of us and other nations heard of your 6th clan, we said in our hearts, "You go, girl." She was selected to the Transitional Federal Parliament of the Republic of Somalia in 2004 and served till 2009. She is the founder of an NGO, Save Somali Women and Children, created in '92 at the height of the Somali Civil War. And she has been recognized worldwide for her activism. Today, Asha will talk to us about her peacemaking activities. You are also invited to a conference which is held at Weber State on Saturday, where she will talk more specifically about the creation of the 6th clan. I hope you will join me in welcoming Asha and her husband to BYU.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, and good afternoon. Distinguished members of the Kennedy Center for International Studies and the Women's Research Institute of Birmingham Young University, honored guests, I thank you for the opportunity to present to you today our achievements in the realm of peacemaking in the Somali context. I wish to present to you another picture of my country, Somalia, about which you never see in the media. What little you are made aware of in the popular press is an impression of Somalia as a lawless country beset with anarchy, civil strife, and famine for almost 19 years. And recently, the source of piracy against the international trade, all of which may be true. But there is another face to Somalia that the world is mostly unaware of. A situation where women, previously voiceless and marginalized, took the initiative to step courageously and forcefully, requiring the powers that be in that patriarchal and patrilineal society to recognize women's rightful place as equal partners in decision-making. It hasn't been an easy road, and it still continues to be extremely problematic, but through courage, perseverance, and limitless patience, with a peaceful but determined struggle, reminiscent of Mahatma Gandhi, women carved out the political space for their voice to be heard. I have never used any form of violence in my struggle. I cannot stand even to see a pistol, but I was using the most powerful of all tools, the power of words and wisdom. It has been in itself a quiet revolution, but a revolution nevertheless, encompassing historic change and social transformation theretofore never seen in Somali history, where once women were powerless, voiceless, and relegated to the sidelines of politics and economic determinism. We have gradually, painfully, but successfully began the process of innovation as agents of change, initiators of a dynamic makeover of the Somali body politic and hopefully of the Somali society as a whole. While I stand before you as a symbol of this effort, it is due to the work of many women in Somalia who have suffered tremendously at the hands of unscrupulous warlords, militias, and external forces of discord. And it is for them that I speak to you today. Despite the trauma that women face in armed conflict, the rape, the killing, the separation from loved ones, the example I wish to show you today is of my organization, Save Somali Women and Children. Somali women did not simply resign themselves to being victims, but forced themselves to make a difference and act positively as an agent of change. The year 1992 is most notable for me, as it is the year we set out to go beyond traditional gender roles by creating a new organization, Save Somali Women and Children, of which I'm the chairperson. In so doing, we will transcend transitional clan affiliations and created the first women organization of its kind to cross clan lines. We women did this while men were in the bush fighting or meeting to plan their next moves to defeat the other clans. We founders of the organization were women from different clans, different political affiliations, and different socio-economic backgrounds, but we had fundamental things in common. We all shared common commitments and concerns about the promotion of peace and the protection of women's rights, and we all strongly believed that this was not our war. It was an alien war. So we, women, were all convinced that to promote peace was our primary responsibility, as we all realized that war had nothing to offer except death, devastation, and destruction. We didn't want our own daughters to go through the same negative, painful experience that we went through as mothers. By 1994, SSWC first came out publicly with this mission. The group was severely criticized because both the clan hostility and the clan loyalty were at the peak. So people couldn't easily accept an organization which was openly beyond clan divisions. It was a progressive ideology, and immediately the political leaders criticized us and even tried to divide us along clan lines. Our detractors used all possible means in order to stifle our idea of the cross-clan structure of Save Somali Women and Children, including death threats. I was told that we will be physically eliminated if we didn't stop what we were doing, but we refused to stop. We actually ignored them, and that is how we succeeded. If we had withdrawn the moment we were showing hostility, we would not have done anything. But thank God, their criticism and threats gave us the strength to remain resolute and united. Since its inception, the organization has been instrumental in promoting peace and the spirit of reconciliation among the warring Somali clans. But I would like to highlight some of the bold steps that we have taken as a woman. One of our first actions to promote peace was to invite women to come together from across the Green Line, the boundary of the warring clans in Mogadishu, the capital city. It was an historic event where, for the first time, women came together to discuss the need for peace, while men couldn't come together without a third-part involvement. But we women showed that we have the interest of peace at heart, and we can come among ourselves together without any mediator or any third-part involvement. Another bold step was when we invited women leaders, women peace activists, and wives of so-called warlords, and famous female poets from every clan to a gathering in Nairobi in 1996. The purpose was to delink women from the clan welfare. Many of the poets had been creating poems in support of their warring clans and further exacerbating the conflict and inciting more bloodshed. As the chair of that conference, I introduced each leader and poet by name. They were shocked to see one another, and also our international guest. One even asked, Asha, we are suspicious. Are you taking us to the International Criminal Court? I told them what they had done was more dangerous than the gun, that they contributed to the deaths of their husbands, brothers, and sons. I asked them if they recognized their criminal acts. We told them their words were dangerous as they were adding fuel to the fires of war. But we said we could forgive them if they would stop and instead use their positive talents for peace and reconciliation, not for war. I encouraged them to see the connections beyond the clan, their connections as a women and mothers. Over several days of dialogue, each of them began to realize what was likely to happen if the war continued to escalate. I spoke to them the harsh realities and the dangers the future held for their children, families, and friends. I continued to remind them that women and children are the first and the last victims of war. From then on, every March 8th, International Women's Day, we continued to host poetry recital for positive change and gave the 3 best poets awards in every year since 1996. In fact, one of those female poets who we had condemned became the first to receive our first award. And until today, she has remained a champion, producing the most beautiful and touching poems for peace. Another example is this. In May of 1999, we organized a petition countrywide from women of different clans, educational backgrounds, and affiliations. This was the first time Somali women wrote such a document. It was unheard of for women from different clans and classes to come together and organize such a provocative initiative. In the petition sent to UN General Secretary Kofi Annan and other world leaders, such as President Clinton, we presented a clear picture of the Somali situation, especially the effects of the armed conflict on women and children. We told him to the new roles and responsibilities developing for women, not only in promoting peace, but also becoming the breadwinners of their families. That has always been the traditional and religious responsibility of the husbands. We told Kofi Annan that we wanted to participate in the upcoming peace and reconciliation process as women and asked him to give us a role. He wrote back through the UN Political Office for Somalia, praising the role of Somali women, and told us, I will make sure that women will participate. Our opportunity came in 2000 when a Somali Peace and Reconciliation Conference held in Djibouti, a neighboring country, to end the Somali political crisis. In that conference, though it was civil society-centered conference, yet the criteria of participation for the conference was clan-based. And since we women have no role in the traditional clan structure, we were excluded in the participation of that important national exercise because we are women and we don't represent any clan. It was the vision, courage, and the tenacity of Safe Somali Women and Children under my leadership that enabled Somali women to come together and to go beyond the clan line and form their own clan, the sixth clan, Somali Women's Clan, as a full identity to participate in the peace and political process. Through the identity of the sixth clan, we Somali women dare to challenge the social cultural paradigms. We also carve out the Somali women's political space in the Somali political leadership that has always been a male-dominated area. We also secured women's quota in the charter, and that was actually the first thing that I did when women gave me the privilege to be the leader of the sixth clan. And that was how we went to the high negotiation table. I will talk more deeply into, inshallah, on Saturday about that. But I just want to highlight how we, Somali women, through the SSWC, formed that clan, and how we achieved a lot of political and social achievements through that identity. In my capacity as the leader of the sixth clan, and also the chairperson of Save Somali Women and Children, I was involved all the Somali Peace and Reconciliation Conference, especially those conferences who had the civil society participation. So I learned a lot from the practical sense of the negotiation and the role of women in peace promotion. I would like to share with you some of the most important lessons that I learned during those years of my engagement in peace talks. One of the most important lessons I learned is that women add immense value to the peace process. They bring in compassion, forgiveness, tolerance, patience, and all these are the basic tenets of true reconciliation. I also learned that women always speak for the silent majority. They speak for the silent majority, and they focus on issues, the economic, the political, the health, and the education, while men always focus on one issue, that is the power-sharing issue. I remember when we were at the high negotiation table, again another conference in 2004, my colleagues were telling me, Asha, they are not taking us serious. And I used to tell them, let them not take us serious. We have to take advantage of them not seeing us as a political threat, because we know where their heart lies. That is the power sharing. And our heart beats with the real issues that are related with the lives of the people. And the reason why we are here is to mainstream the real issues in the national charter. So again, in that conference, we mainstreamed women's quota in the charter. And one of the most important achievements that we actually made out of that conference was not only entrenching women's quota in the charter, but also changing the language of the charter. Usually all charters and constitutions have that male-dominated language, which was in our charter, in our case, the president, he shall appoint the prime minister. The prime minister, he shall form the cabinet. We changed that language. And today, the interim charter that we have says the president, he or she, shall appoint the prime minister. The prime minister, he or she, shall form the cabinet. And to me, that is a giant step toward the emancipation of women and toward giving them a rightful space in the national decision-making and leadership arena. I would like also to conclude by saying that I also learned that peace building itself is a very challenging activity, and our endeavors for the quest of peace was very much painful, very much stressful. It was not a risk-free one. We had a lot of challenges And we actually face all the challenge that you could imagine. But I am happy to share with you that, again, another important lesson I learned out there is that peace building itself first needs courage, then persistence and perseverance. And if you have an agenda to rally behind, no one can stop you. And the very important lesson that we can learn from Somali women's experience is that women are not powerless. They are very powerful. But to attain power, to get power, is also depends and wants you to get involved. Otherwise, no one will give it to you on a silver platter. So I must proudly tell you that we fought every inch of our achievement. We have hard-won gains, social and political achievements, and I'm proud to tell you that we are leaving a legacy. Today, Somali women and Somali girls, including my daughters, have a political space which they have never dreamed of. So we are role models to them. And I'm urging and encouraging all of you, young generation, young girls, that you always have courage and vision. And then you will succeed whatever agenda that you are pushing for. Thank you.
We have time for some questions. We have a wireless microphone. If you'd please, when you're called on, tell us your name and what you're studying before you ask your question. Yes, please.
Troy Hunt, Middle Eastern Studies in Arabic. I was just wondering, in your opinion, what will happen to your group if the Asha movement were to take power in Somalia?
Okay, I will answer right away to that. In fact, if Al-Shabaab takes over the leadership, it is obvious that the first casualties will be women. That is obvious. That is for sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Microphone's not working, so just speak loudly. We'll restate the question.
Oh.
My name's April Dietering, and I'm studying English. My question is, it seems like at the beginning you said it's very, very difficult to get it rolling. Did you notice, as you got more people involved, that it tended to get easier in some ways? You got more support, or is it still just as hard as it was at the beginning?
Well, thank you. It is not as hard as it was the beginning because we had the opportunity to build the capacity of the women through awareness raising and through building their capacity even to understand their role. So we have built a very strong foundation on the ground. We also strategically built a strategic alliance with the men because when we were even in Arta, when we formed the 6th clan, had it not been for that strategic initiative of having men on our side, we wouldn't have achieved what we have achieved. So from experience, I believe that men are very strategic alliance in women's issues. And always women take women issues as their own issue. But I believe that women issues are social issues. So men too have a role to play. But it is up to us how we can build that strong alliance with the men in our own cause. Yeah.
I'm Chadley Green, studying political science. Thank you, that was a very inspiring speech. I was just wondering, you said that Somalia, that your 6th clan initiated a dynamic makeover. And I was wondering, you've done so much for your country already. What else still needs to be done concretely that you would, what objectives or agenda would you push for the future of Somalia?
Oh, thank you. That's a very pertinent question. Actually, the achievement, the political and social achievements that we made out of at the national level needs to have a strong foundation on the ground. And as an organization, we already identified education and economic empowerment are the two fundamental pillars that could enhance and encourage the women's political visibility up there. So education and economic empowerment are our agendas. Yeah.
My name is Kelsey Perry. I'm studying public health. And you kind of just led into my question. I was wondering how education played a role in the organization of the Sixth Clan. And you said that you sent a document. Obviously, there were some literacy skills that women in your clan have been availed of, and I was wondering how that's played a role up to this point in your organization.
Well, thank you. Actually, education was a key to the formation of the Sixth Clan itself, because those of us who came up with that strategic idea outside the box were somehow had the privilege of education, because we put aside all our own difference, which was not an easy thing to do in a hostile and conflict situation. So we managed to put all our difference, be it clan, be it personal, be it, profession, and we all rallied behind that issue, the women's issue, and we succeeded. Had it not been for the level of understanding and the level of education of all those women, it will be very difficult for us to move ahead. I will give you an example. Even some of the women themselves who are not, that capacity and that level of understanding were negatively used against us by some of the men, especially the warlords who never wanted to see women active in the political arena. So they used them against us. I remember they used to come and challenge me personally, say, Asha, you are completely bringing in a Western morale, because that is their language. If they see an active woman who knows her rights, they always stamp on, she's feminist and all this as a very negative, language, because the people have a very negative concept of, of feminism and all this. So they didn't say that, the men, from their mouth, but they instead used women as a tool to discourage us and to make us ashamed. What we are doing has nothing to do in the religion and in the culture. So education is always very important in our struggle and in all women's movement. Education is the basic thing. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm Rachel Morrison. I'm a sociology major minoring in international development and African studies. My question is, why do you think it was that the women were able to overcome all these differences and come together, whereas the men couldn't?
Oh, thank you. Well, as I said in my presentation, actually, women and their children are the first and the last victims of all armed conflicts. Women went through a lot. They suffered a lot. They had also a lot to bring in the table, and they had a lot to share. And their presence and their full participation was not optional, but to me, it was rather a requirement. And that is why, actually, we wanted women to be there. And the commonality that we had, all of us women we were all sick and tired of that culture of war and hostility, because it had, a clan hostility within it. For example, my husband and I came from two different clans, and both our clans are major clans in the Somali context, and they were somehow involved in the hostility in different ways. So the only identity that I could enjoy was the identity of womanhood, because both my clans, I'm 50-50, that I will speak, inshallah, very deeply tomorrow. But we women, actually, we saw that the only place that we can belong is to have peace. So peace was our priority. Yeah, Susan.
Susan Dayton, Worldwide Organization for Women. Now that there is so much conflict there, how do you maintain your structure with the Sixth Clan?
Well, thank you. Actually, we use the Sixth Clan as a mechanism that will enable us to be part of the political equation of the country. But the Sixth Clan is not as a structure, but it is a network for the women. All the Somali women are members of that. As long as you are a woman, you have a full membership, because it is the only identity that we women can enjoy. So it is not as a structure as such, because we all came from different clans. And another important thing that I would actually like to share with you is that when we formed the Sixth Clan, and women who formed, they all came from the different existing 5 clans, because we were not represented in the peace process. Only the existing 5 clans were represented in the peace. So when we formed the Sixth Clan, and we all came from different 5 existing clans, the final phase of the conference was about sharing the power. And when we were sharing the power, always the minority clan, because the 5th clan is a coalition of a minority clans. So within the traditional clan structure, they always give half of the power to the minority clans. So in our case, as a woman, we completely come up with something different, and something which is completely against what the other clans were doing, which was we gave the women from the minority clans equal shares as the other major clans. So both my clans, I told you, were 2 major clans in the Somali clan structure. So they came to me and they challenged me and they said, no, you cannot do that. You should give the minority clan half. Don't come up with a new formula. And I challenged them and I said, no, over my dead body, because we women, we are against any discrimination, any form of discrimination against humanity. And we cannot I cannot call a sister of mine that she is lower than me, she is half. And I said, no. I argued with them and I finally succeeded. And I gave the minority clan 5 seats. So we had 25 seats in the then parliament, where the minority clan was equal to the other major clans. That was in Arta. And now we have 33 female MPs in the interim government, and 3 female ministers, from the scratch to 33 female MPs and 3 women ministers, including the Minister of Health. So I think it is a huge success as far as women's political participation is concerned. And it is one of the actually noble achievements that we always, love and celebrate, and, it is an achievement. Had it not been for that strong passion and the courage from us, Somali women wouldn't have even 1 single seat in the Somali parliament, let alone having a cabinet member. So we actually celebrate with that, because it is a real achievement. Yeah?
My name is Stephen Miller. I'm International Relations Major. Would you say that after the formation of your 6th plan that domestic violence of women in Somalia had increased within the homes? And if so, do you think that has led to kind of more of a timid role in women in joining and actively participating in this fight?
Well, thank you. Always in the armed conflicts, actually, women face a huge violence against women, because there is no, the responsibility to protect is also missing there. And women are vulnerable. And also, some men use the rape and the violence as a weapon of war itself. Some clans use that to dehumanize the other clan when they rape, their girls and their women, to show them how vulnerable they are. So it is unfortunate in all armed conflicts, not only Somali conflict, but it is worldwide, all armed conflicts. The violence against women is unacceptable. It is unacceptable and unbelievable. But the beauty that the Sixth Clan brought into the Somali context is that now women are somehow aware of their rights, and they know even where to go. They come to our center. They know that they have now a base to go back. They know that now they have a voice that is big for them. So they always rely on us. They always come back to us. But I must say the violence, especially the rape, is very rampant, especially in the IDPs and in the refugee camps. Yeah?
Hi, I'm Sierra Wilson. I'm an international relations major. And thank you for your talk. My question is just, do you feel that men's opinions changed, or even, for example, in the peace talks, as your clan started to participate, do you feel that maybe the opinions that they had towards you, they began to respect you more? How did the men react to you in the peace talks in a different situation?
Thank you. That is absolutely very important question. Yes, their mindset has been changed tremendously. And I will give you a practical example. In 2000, when we formed the Sixth Clan, none of the existing 5 clans will want to give women a chance to be a delegate, let alone to be a member of the parliament. And in 2002, when we had another conference in Kenya, the conference had 3 phases. Always the final phase is the phase of power sharing. And this time round, the Sixth Clan, we had the spirit of the Sixth Clan as a mechanism, but we were not participate in the conference as a clan, but the spirit was there. That is why 5 of us went to the high negotiation table. In any case, when the final phase came, it was one of the procedures that each clan, I'm talking about the 5 existing clan, to bring up to one person as a chair of the clan affairs in the conference. And my clan of birth was a clan that had the most unscrupulous warlords. I'm from Mogadishu. So we had 9 unscrupulous warlords in that conference. And when that issue came to them, and they were to choose one person to represent the clan as the chair, of that clan, to go to the steering committee, that was 5 people, they unanimously choose me to be the person that will represent the clan. So people got shocked when, the warlords unanimously, because, none of them wanted to give a chance to, among them. So they unanimously choose me. What people couldn't also actually understand, and it made them surprised, was when the paramount clan elders were to endorse the nomination. When the paramount clan elders also unanimously endorsed it, my appointment, that had absolutely a lot to do with my previous role as the leader of the Sixth Clan. So their mindset was changed, and they unanimously elected me to represent. It never happened in the Somali history. So we always take that as a practical example, how the creation of the Sixth Clan changed the mindset of Somali men towards women's participation. And again, now there was a Somali peace talks that took place in Djibouti again, that brought together the opposition and the transitional federal government, which finally produced a new government and elected a new Somali president in that conference, again, the mentality and the spirit of the Sixth Clan was there. And 4 of us were at the high negotiation table, 2 from the opposition side and 2 from the government side. So, women's, the sidelining of the women and ignoring women's participation now become a history in Somali context after the Sixth Clan. So I must say it was a strategic thinking outside the box. And as many say, it was a bloodless revolution that really gave Somali women a real political visibility in the national decision-making in dispensations. So we are really very much proud of that courageous initiative.
Time for one more question.
Okay.
One more.
Oh, maybe we will take both of them.
Sure.
Please. Yeah.
Also for this week.
Oh, so make it 3 maybe. Sure. So I will come back to you, but yeah. Thank you. Okay.
You said something very interesting. You talked early in your speech about the patriarchal, patrilineal nature of Somali society. So I want to ask you kind of 2 interrelated questions. Do you think that highly patriarchal society in some senses predisposed Somalia to the type of violence that we see today among the clans? And conversely, do you think that one of the routes to peace in Somalia is a dampening down of the hierarchy between men and women in patriarchy? Do Somali households, do Somali villages have to change in the relations between men and women for peace to come to Somalia?
Oh, thank you. Actually, in that particular issues, there are 2 things. It is like 2-way traffic. And one, the patriarchal has been growing during the Civil War, because when we were in the university, during the old good days, we never had a clan in our mentality and in our day-to-day business. That is why, I got married to my husband. Before the Civil War, I never thought that my husband and I will one day become 2 different identities, because clan had no means in our lives. But because of the Civil War, the politicians used the clan as a powerful tool to ascend the power that they want. So in that sense, the patriarchal is growing. But also there is another way of it. In terms of the relationship between men and women, it has changed tremendously. And women are now having more power than before, because they become the breadwinners of the family. And that gave them actually a power and opportunity. I remember during the early days of the conflict, when we all got panicked and shocked, because that has never been in our role, I used to tell the women and encourage them, let us take this as a challenge and an opportunity. I mean, being the breadwinners of the family gave us an opportunity, though it was a challenge, because when you have a say in the family, then automatically you will have a say in the community, in the society. So being a breadwinner and playing a role in the family economy gave Somali women a huge power. And we are, in fact, enjoying that power. And we don't want to lose that power, even if the Civil War, get finished, because it is a real power. And that is why we focus on the economic empowerment of women, to give them a self-reliance, to make them economically independent, in order for them to have the independence to make the decisions pertaining to their lives. So it is very important, and it is a growing terrain now. And that gives women a big visibility. Okay.
My question is, given the problems that have occurred with getting aid to Somalia, and you were discussing that on your agenda was economic empowerment for women. Is there specific things that we can do, or that the West can do, to help out in that? What's the best way to make that happen?
Well, thank you. I think one of the pressing issues in Somalia right now is the issue of livelihood. And that is why we are all witnessing and seeing all these negative activities like piracy and the international, crimes. And livelihood is very important. So I believe that the international community and everyone who's a peace lover can play a role in that, to address directly to the needy people, mainly women and the youth, because they always use the youth as their own, tool to do all those negative and criminal activities for the one reason, which is a means of survival. It doesn't mean that those youngsters believe the ideals and the values and the principles of, for example, the extremist group, but the main reason that they are in those activities is because of means of survival. They have some financial, means to attract them. So I think it is important. And the international community should also know that there is a huge humanitarian catastrophe on the ground. So the Somali situation is not always, the one, on the media, but the reality on the ground is absolutely different from what you see in the international media. So we need to address the real needs and the real interests of the people on the ground. Yeah.
Wondering a little bit about your educational and personal background that prepared you to have these kinds of ideas and leadership to organize and bring this about.
Okay, thank you. Actually, there is also another presentation of mine. Where will that be? At the library, the one we are talking about, the literacy. And I will share with you my own personal background and how I got the education opportunity. But let me tell you something about that. I had a unique mother, and that was the main reason that I had the education opportunity. And when I was even little, I always had, maybe that was God's gift. Even when I was in the Quranic school, that is the madrasa, I have always been a leader in different capacities. And that took me to become, when I was in the Somali University, to become the first female who ever assumed the responsibility to become the president of all Somali University Students Association. And that again took me to where I am today. Yeah. But the base of everything was the educational opportunity that I got. I have to also give a half of the credit to my husband. He has always been an staunch supporter of me through thick and thin. And had it not been for his personal, strong personality, I don't think that even our marriage would have survived. So I have to give him a huge credit on that.